Okay, today we're just going to have a look at how we can create a simple video in Adobe Premiere Pro. Before we start, I just want to introduce these three programs here, which are all part of the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. Today just going to be looking at the one on the left, which is Premiere Pro. This is the industry standard really for creating videos and editing videos. There are a lot of tools and features within Premiere Pro. We're really only going to touch the surface today, and I'd encourage you all to do some more tutorials if you want to learn more. This button in the middle here, Are You? This is Adobe Premiere Rush. Now, this is a lighter version of Premiere Pro. It's um, super simple to use. It's really easy to use on mobile. It was kind of created to predominantly for social media and creating simple videos for social media, things like that. If you can use Premiere Pro, you can easily use Premiere Rush, but not the other way around, which is why we're gonna focus on Premiere Pro today. Once you've mastered this, you'll be able to use this. And this other one I just wanted to touch upon briefly. This is After Effects. After Effects is really good for kind of doing special effects and motion graphics, things like that. It works hand in hand with Premiere Pro. It's not something we're going to touch on today, but it's something to be aware of. Okay, so once you've opened Premiere Pro, you should hopefully have a user interface, a welcome screen that looks a little bit like this. Some of the versions vary. I'm in 2025 currently. But we just want to come up into the left corner here and we want to create a new project. So I'm going to call this site visit and find somewhere safe to store it. I'm just going to store mine here. And we're not going to start with a template. So we're just going to go create. Sometimes that screen might be a little bit different, but um, basically it's now just asking me if I want to import any media, which for now I'm not going to, but what you could do, you could come and find navigate to where your videos are saved, and you can click on each of them and bring them in. But for now, I'm just going to skip. So hopefully you should have a user interface that looks like this. So I've got the boxes across the top and one long sequence bar down the bottom. If you don't, you just need to come into Windows, Workspaces, and we want to be working in Essentials. So that's Essentials. Okay. So the first thing we're going to go do is we're going to import our media. So we can just come into this, use this simple import media button here and navigate to where our media is. So I'm going to highlight everything here and open. The other way to do it is to just go File, Import, and then you get that to, you can also drag and drop from the Explorer, and that works as well. So what do we have here? I've got a couple of sketches, some video footage, I've got a voiceover, and then I've got some still images too. So let's talk through what we've got here. So on the left-hand side here, we've now got our media that we want to use. So we need to create a timeline of our videos. So to do that, the simplest way is to just pick one of your pieces of media and drag it down to this timeline on the bottom. And what's happened now is it's created me a timeline. Now, if you drag a piece of media in, it will create the video at the same frame rate and aspect ratio size as the source, which was 1920 by 1080. If you wanted a different sized video, perhaps you want it portrait for Instagram or something like that, instead just come into new item and it's sequence. So new sequence, and they have lots of presets here. So you can have a portrait one, or whatever you need your video to be, and then you can drag your media onto that and rescale it, which we'll look at shortly. But for now, this is for the purposes of today, we're just going to go with the sequence that it's created. So now what do we have? We have, this is a preview of our final video in the middle of our sequence, and we've got some effects and things on this side that we can kind of look into later. And then along the bottom here, this is our timeline. So this is the video that we're going to be creating. So what does this comprise of? So basically here you can see that we've got some numbers that go along the from left to right along the top. This is our time, so this is in seconds. You can to play, got our um bar here. This is where we're up to, and it's space bar to pause and to go again, or you could press play up here. Um, and then along the side, this is the length of this clip. So you can see we've got three different channels, B1, B2, B3, and we've got A1, A2, A3. Now, the A's, these are the audio channels, the audio layers, and the B's, these are the video channels. So think of them like Photoshop layers. So if I was to bring in another video on top of this one, let's just put another one here. If I was to bring another video on top, you can see that it's now hiding the one below because it works from top down, so 3, 2, 1, and the same for the audio. You can also hide layers, so now I can't see that one because I've toggled it on. And you can also mute the audio layers too. So let's start to put these videos together. So as you can, I've got video 1, video 2, and then I've got animation 1. These are the three videos I want together in my sequence. So as you can see, video 1 and animation 1 have got audio with them. Video 2 doesn't, and that's okay for now. It just means that it didn't have any audio on it. We don't need to worry about it right now. So the as you can see currently, I can't actually see the whole of my video. It kind of goes off the end of the sequence. So if you come down to this little grey rectangle at the bottom here, this we can use to slide left and right to see more of our timeline. And we can also zoom in and out by just holding down one of the anchors here to see more of our sequence. So I've brought my three images, my three videos in. As you can see though, there's a bit of a blank gap between them. So what can we do about that? So if I currently hover two videos together, it's really hard to get right up to the line where they're both the same. So what we're going to do is turn on our snap in timeline tool here, which looks like a horseshoe. So once we've got that clicked, now when we hover our video near the end of another one, you can see it kind of snaps to it, meaning that there's no blips between our videos clips. So that's what we want to do there. So this first video, it's a bit long. It's almost half a minute long. I don't really need that much of the building. So I'm just gonna try and shorten it down a bit. Now there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. The first one is if we just hover over the end of our video clip, you can see a little red kind of anchor shape. So if we click and hold that, we can shorten our video. Now what that does, it just takes the end off the video. So it's the same speed, it's just cut the end off, which is what we want, but then I've got to like manually move all my other clips up to that, which is not ideal. So this other way to do it is if we come to the third tool along our toolbar here, the ripple edit tool. If we click on this now, this time we get a yellow anchor. So this time if I do the same thing, as you can see, as I'm shortening my first clip, the others are kind of following suit. So it just saves me a bit of time. And again, if I actually decided I want to go back, I just quit all the way back out, and the other ones will follow. So I'm not going to be deleting information as I do that. So I'm just going to kind of shorten it down to maybe, and I want to see the front of the building, so like maybe there. So this has got the right amount of the building in for me, but it's just a bit slow at the moment. So what we can do is we can, rather than cutting, I don't want to cut the end off because I want to see the front clock face, but I want it to go a bit quicker. So what we can do in this case is we can look at the speed and duration. So if we right click on a piece of media, and then you get this pretty long bar of different tools, but halfway down, you should see speed duration. So if you click on that, now this is the speed, so I can make it faster or I can make it slower, and it will tell me what that duration becomes. So it'll tell me here that that's become 5 seconds. I can also reverse the speed, so that's if I want it to play in reverse. And if you've got audio um with it, this will, when you speed up an audio, it'll start to speak really, really, really high. This will try and keep the pitch at a lower level. It's not actually that successful in my experience. So I would skip that. You can also do the ripple edit tool as well with that. So we'll shift it. So it's looking quite good. Now this next clip, I don't want it to go any faster because it's already like the time lapse. I just want, I don't need this much of it, so I want to kind of put it in half. So to do this, we could either do what we've done before, where we pull, drag one of the ends in, but another tool to look at is the slice cut tool here, so the razor tool. And so what this does is, if we just come to playhead, which is this blue line. No, you can do it anywhere. Where you click when you've got the razor tool on, click on a piece of your media, and what it's done there, the to be able to select. So these are actually two separate clips now. So I can move this one. I can move it to the end if I wanted to. I could speed one up and slow one down if I wanted to, or this is just another way to edit your footage. Actually, I just want to delete that one off the end there. I'm going to slice a little bit more off this one, maybe. So then I click my next clip, which is highlighted in white, and I'm just going to drag that one to meet the other one, so I've got a continuous sequence. So I'm happy with my clips now, but my problem now is I don't like the kind of transition between them. It's a start. So if you come up to your left-hand panel here, and it should say F, and we're looking for video transitions here. So here we've got loads of things, again, loads of things you can look at in your own time. We've got things you can do to the audio, transitions to the audio, things you can do to the video, and then we've transitions. So if we come into here and we come to into dissolve, cross dissolve is always a good one. So what cross dissolve does, if you click on it, and actually the blue means that this is our default transition method, so you can change that as well. If we hold it down, it's created me like a little box. Now what happens is, it, can you see it kind of gradually transitions between those two pieces of film instead of being quite a sharp cut? It's just personal preference. And you can also, if you click on the actual cross dissolve, you can make it slower or quicker cross dissolve. So I could put these on both my transitions to give it a little bit of a smoother transition. So the next thing we're going to do is I want like an introduction at the beginning. So I want to move everything along. So to do that, you could just, if you just marquee over everything, so everything's white highlighted, you can just drag it along, or you can do it individually. And then we're going to come back up to our project files here. So I want to bring an image in, but I can't remember which one. So to make it easier, there's a little icon view here, which will show us a view, a preview of all our videos and our images. If or you can just, if you double click on an image, it'll give you a preview in the preview window here. So this is the one I want, so I'm just going to drag it in. As expected, it doesn't have any audio because it's just an image. So I'll there, and I'll drag everything back up to do it. Um, what's happened is the image is a lot bigger in size than my sequences. It's 5,000 pixels wide, and my sequence is only 1920, and it's just gone way off the page. So there's a couple of ways that we can scale this image. Right click on the image, and we can either fit to frame or we can fill the frame. They're just two different scaling ones. You can see, depending on what your orientation is, it might give you a little bit of black at each side, or fill frame. The other thing that we can do is if we come into the controls on the right hand side and independent of motion, if you click on this one that says scale, once you click on that, you'll see that we suddenly have adjustment handles here that we can use to drag our image to the size that we want it to be. So there's different ways depending on how you want to do it. I'm just going to film frame that. And we mustn't forget to save as we go along. So we have to save, so that's either Control S or File. What if we want to add some text on top of a video to introduce our building text? There's two different ways we can add text in Premiere Pro. The first way is to use the type tool. So if we come over to the left-hand toolbar here, down the bottom you should see a T for type tool, or the keyboard shortcut. With this selected, we just need to come into our playback window and start to draw I'm just going to make this a bit bigger again. Start to draw a box. You'll create a red box. Once this is done, you can start to type your text. So I'm just going to call this the name of the project. So we don't want it to be white, so I've got some adjustments I can make. If you've got your text highlighted, come over to the right hand side, and within this effects control panel, halfway down you'll see text. So this is where we can start to edit our text in a similar way that we would do in Premiere Pro, in Photoshop or InDesign. I'm going to make it regular, and you can right justify it if you want to, and you can change the color. There's all sorts of different edits you can make to your text here. So once I'm happy with what it says, I can just use the selection tool again, which will give me a little grey noodle points around my text. So once that's selected, I can start to move my text around just by dragging it to where I want it to. You also use the position and the scale in here. So I think that's about right. Now if I can just pull as well the text in line with the image below. So these work as layers as you would have in Photoshop. So the text is on top of the image, and whatever's below will continue to play, and then you've just got the text on top. What if I want some text that moves or is animated? Now we could keyframe this text, but there's an easier way. So if I pull my playhead, this is my blue line, over to this media here, this animation, what I'm looking for now is something called graphics templates. So if you come into your left window, it's in here, but you might need a search for it. So if we just click on to expand the options here, you'll see graphics templates. If you don't see it there, just go window, graphics templates. Yeah. Now in here, we've got all sorts of motion graphics templates that we can use on top of our video just to enhance it. There's all sorts, you can put love hearts on there. There's like smiley faces. Some of them take a little bit to load, but there's all sorts of things we can do to kind of increase the engagement of our video analysis. But for now, I'm just going to use one called, I just want some simple text. So I'm going to go with this clean of text here. So you just click them and you drag them into your sequence wherever you want them. Now you can currently see that this one is quite hard to see because it's white. So similarly to with the static text, we just double click on it, highlight all our text, and then come into the effects control to see what we can do. So we've got some effects some edits we can make to the shape bar, which is currently red. I just want to make some effects to the text. So I'm going to have it verbatim, same as the other one. And I think I'm going to have it bold this time. And I think I want the fill to be black. And then you can also, this is what it says. So, okay. And then I'm going to move it to down here. So to move your text, you just want to be careful of where you're moving. So I'm going to make it about small. So we've got a couple of different layers here now. These motions are for just the text and the bar. So I want to come into the overall object. I'm just gonna, if you click on vector motion here, you'll get again your nodal points come up. You can just kind of drag it to where you want it. So I think I'm gonna have it there. We have a bit smaller like that. And then you can go in and go ahead and play it. Start it a little bit further along, like that. Now on this animation, I think I want to layer some more things up on here. So I'm going to go and look for, come back into the project files, and I'm going to look for in here one of the sketches that I did. So let's just navigate to that, and it's this sketch here that I did many moons ago. And I'd like to start to layer up some more information on this page just to make it a little bit more engaging. So I'm going to click and drag into my timeline this animation, and I can just put that anywhere that I want. So I could actually move that graphic here and click below if I wanted to. But as you can see, it's absolutely massive and it's portrait. So if you remember before, we can right click and we can scale to screen size. But what we can also do is if we've got our sketch highlighted and we come into motion on the side, by clicking motion, we then get the anchor points. We can make it a bit smaller and we can drag it maybe to over on the side. And then maybe I want another piece of text like this. Just gonna make it a bit smaller. So what I can do for this is I can Control C, pull my playhead to where I want the next one, and Control V there. Then I want to move this one, move it to either there, maybe this one. So this is a different one. And maybe this one's gonna say maybe this is gonna carry all the way through. Okay, maybe I want this building to be bigger over here. Maybe I want it to come in a little bit later. I can put cross dissolve on it. I want it smaller. Mhm. Bit. So now I have full of different pieces of motion graphics coming in just to give a little bit more information about my building. And I'm layering some other sketches on top using this layered system. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come all the way back to the beginning of our sequence and we're going to look at this clip, which is currently a static image. I want this static image to have a little bit of movement to it. And there's things that we can do to static images to create a sense of motion. So to do that, we're going to be looking at keyframing. The first thing we need to do is select our clip, and then I want you to come over to the right hand panel here, and we want to be on effects controls, and you should see motion, opacity and time. So expand motion, and what we have here is a load of different things that we can alter control on this clip. So position changes the position of the image. Scale is a way of scaling up and down. But if we were to do this here, it would just be that scale all the way through our clip. So we need to look at keyframing to create this sense of motion. So the first thing we do when we keyframe is we've got to start at the very first frame of this clip. So to navigate to the first frame of each clip, if we press up and down, this brings you to the very first frame of each of our different clips. So I'm going to go up till I get to the very first frame. And what I want to do is come over here and click this little stopwatch, which is the toggle animation tool. Now this means that at this point, this frame one, the scale of this image is 41.4, and that's just the scale that fits our video size. Now, and this little blue diamond shows that we've got a keyframe at this position. Now I want to go to the very last frame of this clip. So to do that, press down, which takes me to the very first frame of the next clip, and then I just press back one. So forward and back arrows move you one clip in each time. So you can also use forward and back to move the playhead one or two clips. So it's down to get to the first frame of the next one, and then back one, which is our very last frame of this. So at this point, I want to change my scale to maybe drag it up and down, maybe there, so the live bulb is just going out of shot. And what it's done there is it's created another diamond for us, another keyframe at this position. So then what happens is if we scrub back down to the start, press play, we've got a keyframe of our image moving out of shot. I also want to keyframe the position of it. I want the live building to move kind of more into the middle of the shot. So similarly to scale, we start on our first frame, we click position, gives us a keyframe, we move to the end and book one. And this time I just want kind of the live building to move more into the middle of the shot, but I obviously don't want a black edge to it. So as far as I can go, probably there, created as another keyframe. So we pull it back again. And if we preview that, this is the motion effect that we've got by keyframing. Just another way of kind of adding a bit of interest to your shots, for your videos. So in a similar way, at the end of my film, I want to have another still image that kind of zooms out. So I come back to my project folder here. It's this one here. I'm going to drag it into the sequence. And at the moment it's massive, so I'm going to fit it to the frame, fill it to the frame. And at the beginning, I just want it to like zoom into the camera. So the first frame here, I'm going to keyframe the scale there, and then the very last frame, maybe make it kind of really far out. See about that. A little bit too fast, and you come back. And maybe I also want to dip the black at the end just to show that it's the end of the video. And I could make that dip flat bigger. So to make it longer, you just highlight the actual effect, right click, set transition duration, and I can make that maybe um so we're kind of having a little, make it longer again. It just kind of ends off your video. Okay, we're going to look at two last things. Firstly, is audio, and then we're going to look at some effects at the end. So, I've got, as you can see, because I've got some solid images here, and some videos with no audio and some with audio. Um, I want a consistent, maybe a voiceover throughout so that I don't need to talk through my presentation. It's great if you get nervous or you just prefer to pre-record your presentation. This is a good option. But how am I going to bring video in, because I've got other bits of video? So the first thing to note is that when we click on these video clicks, video and audio, both the audio channel and the video channel always highlight. And if I was to move one, the other one moves. If I move it over here, they both move. If I want to disassociate them from themselves from each other, if you highlight one of the clips, right click, and we want to unlink the audio. Now what happens is I can move the audio independently of the video. I could even delete the audio if I wanted to and keep the video. We don't necessarily need to do this if we've got other channels. What you could just do is you could just mute the channel, mute for mute, that all your audio that you don't want is in. And then we can use another channel for our new voiceover. So I'm going to navigate to my project files again, and I've got an audio here, which is, apologies in advance, a really, really terrible AI
The Royal
voiceover.
Lavar Building is a Grade 1 listed building in Liverpool, England. It is located at the pier head, and along with the neighboring Cunard Building and
But you
Port
get
of
the idea
Liverpool
of what you
Building,
can do
is
with
one of
voiceover.
Liverpool's three graces, which line the city's waterfront.
So because this channel here is muted and this is the channel that's unmuted, this, when you export, it will
In
just
Liverpool,
export
England.
this
It is
audio
located
into
at the
all of
pier
these
head, and
videos.
along with the neighboring
So what I can do is, it's a bit long, so maybe I just want to pull it in, maybe
Cunard
just into
Building and
there.
Port of Liverpool Building is one of Liverpool's three graces, which line the city's
And
waterfront.
this is just a
It was
way to
also
do
part
a voiceover. And then the final thing that I
of
want to look at is to look at different color gradings we could give to our individual clips or the whole thing. If when you're scrubbing
Building is one of
or
Liverpool's three graces,
previewing your video, you
which
don't want to
line the
have to
city's
listen to
water.
this. You can just mute it, but please remember at the end, any audio that you want to come through on your final export, you must unmute it. Whilst you're previewing, you could just mute it so that you don't have to listen to it. So the last thing we're going to look at is how we can color grade some of our clips, or perhaps make it all black and white, or alter some of the clips to make them all the same color grade, depending on what our needs are. So if we come up to the left on the window again, and we want to look for that effects one, and I want you to try and find one that's called Lumetri preset. Now in here, we can, similar to, I guess, Instagram filters, you can put filters on each of your clips. So for example, we've got you can do like monochrome. It gives you a little preview here. If I was to drop that on there, you can see that now it's in monochrome. If I don't want that anymore, I can just press undo, or I can delete it. there's loads here that you can play around with, but just different ways to that's it on, off. So again, this is something you can play with in your own time, but there's just loads of different ways that you can adjust this to your individual clips. So yeah, definitely have a play with that. But let's say for now, I'm pretty happy with how this video is, how my site analysis come together. So now I need to look at exporting it. So remember to turn on any clips that you didn't have on um, for whatever reason. So for example, if you've forgotten and you've turned your text off, make sure all the channels that you want to export are
The Royal
turned on.
Lavar Building is a Grade 1 listed building.
And then make sure you save your work. And then we want to come into export, which is either file, export, media, or there's usually just an export tab here. So this is the export panel. The first thing you need to do is give your video a title. So, and then choose where you want to save it. Now, videos can get quite big in size. So these are some presets to create lower and bigger the file sizes, but obviously the quality will also change. So it always depends on what you need over quality versus size. You can do some research on the internet for some good settings. These are some more kind of additional settings you can tweak or play around with. H.264 is a good format to export in. And then on the right hand side, with preview of our video, this playhead, you can just scrub along that shows you all of what's going to be exported. And the range, we want this to be the entire source of the sequence, unless you want to export just certain clips, in which case you can create custom start and finish times or use key frames in the sequence bar to control this. But this is going from 0 to 43 seconds, which is the length of my example. So this is just some more information about the output. Now we can either, if we think it's going to be quite a quick, small file size, you can just click export. If you think it's going to be really long, like if it's, a long video, for example, I did one recently that was about an hour long and it probably took 9 or 10 minutes to export. If you have got stuff to do while that's happening, you can send it to the media encoder, which is another program which will come up. It will encode it separately and allowing you to get on with something else at the time. I think this is going to go quite quickly. I'm just going to click export. And then it's done it and it's told me it's in the file over here. So let's just get that up. And here is our video.
The Royal Lavar Building is a Grade 1 listed building in Liverpool, England. It is located at the pier head and along with the neighboring Cunard Building and Port of Liverpool Building is one of Liverpool's 3 Graces, which line the city's waterfront. It was also part of Liverpool's formerly UNESCO-designated World Heritage Maritime Mercantile City. Opened in 1911, the building was the purpose-built home of the Royal Lavar Assurance Group, which had been set up in the city in 1850 to provide locals with assistance related to losing a wage-earning relative. One of the first buildings in the world to be built using reinforced concrete, the Royal Lavar Building.
So that just gives you a quick idea of how we can create a fairly simple video in Adobe Premiere Pro, maybe to show some site analysis or a building study, or perhaps as a video about your design or your design process. So I hope that's been useful.